This is just AMZN on Wednesday, February 24th, 2021. And we had a really nice hammer. This is definitely a hammer candle, kind of a little bit above support. We had some support come in yesterday around 3,100. Uh, we uh, we ran up and then gapped down. So it's really an inside candle, much smaller than yesterday, which is good. We needed a rest. The range on today was still 45 bucks, 45 points. And it kind of got me thinking, like, what we're doing here, what other things are going on. I was noticing the squeeze. Actually, I'll make it a little bigger here. So we've had plenty of times where we've gone into the squeeze and then it's triggered. So today it triggered, which it didn't actually move outside of yesterday's candle, but it still triggered, had more bearish momentum here. What's interesting is kind of what's going on here reminded me of something a while back. So I'm going to zoom way out. And so you can see a few different times there's been kind of a squeeze going on. And so in here, there was a squeeze and we kind of were going sideways, consolidating a bit. And in here, there's a squeeze, we were consolidating a bit. So yeah, if you've not been watching the channel for very long, I've been doing this for a while. I've got some old lines on here. I cleaned up my lines, and one really cool channel I left in place was this one. It worked really well back here, and thought, oh, we'll never see it again. And that was the high. Like, I didn't change it. That was the high here. We got into it here and we sold off from there. Like, how crazy is that? So keep an eye out for my lines, because sometimes they work really, really well. And you don't know how long after I draw them that they're going to work so well. So anyway, I drawn this March of 19, sometime in March of 19, or maybe cleaned it up in the next couple months. So summertime maybe was the last time I really did anything with that line, or at least last time we touched it here in July of 2019. And then we came back into that price way up here in the summer of 2020. So anyway, sometimes you should keep lines on your chart, especially if they're these crazy steep angle ones that you think we'll never see it again. Just like, case in point, yesterday where we dropped down into that red line. So on the 5 minute. Anyway, what I was going to look at is this consolidation here. And it kind of made me think that there's some things that might be similar here. So we've got some sideways action. This doesn't quite look like a triangle. I mean, you could draw it like a triangle in some ways, but here, let me draw the triangle that I can see. And I'm also going to point out, okay, so here's a little bit of, an actual trigger on the squeeze, and there's a hammer here. And technically you could really draw like lower highs, and you can't really do higher lows. They're lower highs, or I'm sorry, lower lows here, obviously. But then like this was getting difficult. Like how do you draw something like that? And I guess this portion is more of a triangle here. So let me clean that up. So if you take those highs and then kind of connect these lows, and you have like a portion of a triangle here that kind of gave us a little bit of false breakout and then retested. I'm just seeing some similarities there. And all I want to point out is we went sideways, from this point of this, the squeeze triggering, we went sideways for a while more. Sometimes it doesn't actually mean we're going to have the move right then, especially if we had a move. So if we come back up here, we've got some sideways stuff going on. We've got some funny triangles, we broke out here and then we came back into it. Maybe we just don't have the cleanest triangle yet. But we've got another squeeze that looks like it's breaking down, bearish momentum. But if we're stuck in a triangle, it's not going to go anywhere. Like this one, this was a really nice triangle in here, kind of nice. I mean, there's, again, a couple funny ways you can draw it. And I didn't really think I was going to spend this much time on the daily, but you could draw like this, you could draw like this. If you draw a steeper angle here, you could say, oh, there's the apex and it's going bearish. Well, that didn't work. So there's lots of things you can do before you kind of have a fuller picture. Even with this, it looks like, okay, maybe something like that, and that's it. And I'm pretty sure I was trading this to break out, retest, and go, and it obviously didn't do that. But right along with it here, we had a squeeze, and the squeeze broke out, and the stock did not continue up. It just didn't work. So everything works, just not all the time. That's what I've heard. So anyway, let's jump back into the 5 minute here. We had a nice resting day, very similar range to where we were midday yesterday. Really the same range, middle area here. So if you break up the day into thirds, we had kind of the low portion of the day here, and then the high portion of the day up here. And then midday was spent all in the middle range. And then today we spent the entire day in the middle range, but really still from the high up here to the low down here was still a 45-point move, which is great if you knew to sell right at the open, which somehow my yellow line is right here again, acting as resistance, just like yesterday. And so we really gapped down back below resistance and sold off right away. And then we came back into it and sold off, and we came back into it and sold off. So 3 times you really could have been selling off of the yellow line. So I'm going to hold the cursor there. There's the points on the chart, and it works nicely when you do not have extended hours on. If you turn on extended hours, it looks much wonkier. It doesn't really look as clean as it worked right now. And again, it's just a line that I've drawn that for some reason it's working really well right now. Here's the red line I was talking about when I was on the daily that I should have just talked about when I was back here. But I drew this line in thinking we're not going to see that again, but I'm just going to leave it on the chart for a while. And sure enough, we came back into that price. We almost opened right on that price yesterday. And it's a line that I drew in on like this day or this day, something like that. I drew it in like earlier back in like February 11th or 12th. And it didn't really act as support here, but it would have been a great target if you saw this line was breaking down. So this support was breaking down and you thought, wonder if we'll see one of these lines again. And you set your target at the yellow line or the red line and you're getting out on a bearish move there. That would be amazing. I wish I had gotten in a couple, going out a week or two more with an option expiration. Normally I'm just trading the same week's expiration. And so this was happening on a Friday. So I was not thinking bigger picture, like, oh, let me go out to next week's expiration and get into like a 3,100 put down here and see what that would have done with 2 more days, like 2 days more. And it was down here. How crazy. So anyway, with the quieter day we had today, selling off of this with the put, so buying a put here or here or here, it actually was a little bit harder because it showed up with different prices. So this is the 3,100 put. I thought that'd be a nice one to look at. The range of the candles was a little more than $1. It pulled back a little bit each time. It made really a relative high here. From here to here, and then from here to here, they were all relative highs, but the price kept dropping. So here the low is 12.55, and over here the low was 10.64. Wow, 10.64, 10.65. That would have been nice. And then the low here was 10.05, so it didn't quite get down to 10 by 9. And then over here the low was 8.95. So if you had it set up to get in 10 by 9, it would have probably stopped you out, which would have sucked. But then it would have had a nice 3-hour move. After each one of these had a nice 3-hour move. Yeah, this one too. So if we go a little further out, so 30.50, I think it's just got a little lighter volume. Yeah, volume's okay. I like that this came, I like buying here. I like buying there because it came into the same low as yesterday. So that probably would have been what I would have traded in here. Buying at like 4. Did it come down to 4? Yeah, 4 by 3. Oh, that would have been great. 4 by 3 up to 7. Didn't get up to 7. Okay, so that's the problem. The 30.50 didn't even move 3 points. Move 3R, sorry, 3R. So, and then like 30.75. I don't think, I don't like the volume on this one. So we're back at the 3,100 put, and it was just harder to get that set up. So quieter day, but still some nice moves. On the calls, 3,200 calls are what I'm looking at here. Got a little bit of a double bottom here, would have given you kind of the same price to buy on the second pullback, but you didn't know this was the second pullback or sorry, you didn't know this was the double bottom. You didn't know where to buy this. It didn't like retest into a really clear, candle, like a reversal candle, like a hammer. Even the candles here didn't help you. You would have just been buying blindly off of that low. And those, I mean, I like seeing more times that it's doing that. It also didn't really give you a clean high that it was running back into. This looks like a little bit of a head and shoulders here, but you would have had to know for sure that's the shoulder, and then that price is the same about for a shoulder. So I guess that's the only indication if you were recognizing this was a high and this was a high for another shoulder, and then you're trading based on this candle, you're getting in on the next candle. So that would have been buying here. So I guess looking at this put, you could have figured that out for the call, but this is all hindsight. So much easier to see it now. It's like, oh, sure, I could have bought at 12.50 and a stop at 11.50, and that would have worked great, and it would have ran quite a bit, would have ran up really quickly. So a little bit hard to do with this option, and then the 32.50. Oh yeah, so I extended this after I finished the video. It's like, oh, I wonder if that lines up again. Just looking at, because I drew this in while I was doing the video, and it's like, oh, that holds that low pretty well. Oh wait, where's that line go? Where's that point to? Sure enough, points right at 13.50, which would have been my 8-hour target. Look at this, right here, right up at the high, like 13.50. All right, 13.30 is the high. Like what I just drew freehand with the line right here, and not a freehand like sketching, but I just drew this in. It's like, oh, it's holding the lows, and talked about this trade getting at 5.50 and getting out at 8.50 for a nice 3R. And I could have moved my target up to 13.50, which would have been 8R, and gotten my stop under the or at the 3R target. So I would have been trailed out if it came back to 8.50. But instead of just continuing running, it's like, there's the target. It actually ran up there and did it. So that's the kind of thing. It's like seeing some of these where if you extend the line out, what's it doing? What's it going to hit? Okay, maybe someday we'll get there. So like if you had this line drawn in on the daily and we're way down here and thought, well, we've had a line work like that before. I wonder if there's a chance we'll run up and hit this line at some point over the next year, and you get an option like 3,500 call with an expiration in 2022. I don't even know how expensive that would have been to do in early 2020, but I mean, it's still just, it seems like a gamble to do that. But when it lines up with these lines, it's like, oh wow. So I've drawn some on longer time frame on the daily. Here's one on 5 minutes, and then here's one that it's a lot easier to see on the hourly. But I'll zoom out to the hourly just to see how this is shaping up right now. So right now, it looks like I've got to change the triangle. We talked about if we don't really hold the levels as cleanly, maybe something else is going on. I'm not, unless, well, I was about to say, I'm not going to keep this on my chart, but if I like what's happening here, I might. So this is catching my eye right now. So I got some lows here. It doesn't quite touch that one. Catch the lows here and kind of catch the candles here. So that's a little shallower. If we extend that out to the left, that kind of catches this and this, but obviously these are false breakdowns. So that makes this a little shallower angle. Let me see if this will work again. Duplicate. And then I'm going to switch. Oh, I can't do that. Hang on. I'm going to change the numbers and see what this does. Cut that. Put that. Now I can extend it up. Actually, what I'm going to do. Is that like 200? Can I add 200? We'll do the math. No, of course it didn't change. Well, it might do that. Let me just punch the number in. I'm adding 200 to move it up. There you go. No, I didn't move as high as I wanted. Does this follow anything? I was trying to get it further up here. Doesn't really follow anything on the top either. So I don't know. I don't think we have it yet. I don't think we have the cleanest triangle. I really liked this triangle, the lower highs, the higher lows. I really liked it until all of this has happened. So I'm not sure what to do with this yet. That's all. Because it's not really following the triangle anymore. So, and Amazon really likes to triangle. So that's what's bugging me. It's like, it's got to be doing something. What if I just duplicate this, drag that up to a high? I'm lining it. It's like, okay, so those two, here's a high, almost the high. So that kind of works. I wonder if we'll do something and we just keep charging higher. I don't know. I'm not sure how how that's going to work out, but right now on the hourly, the other thing I like in the hourly is the, let's see, is it the hourly? 21 exponential is moving pretty nicely on the hourly. So if you go back and look, like it didn't hold, like it bounced here, you know, and then it was kind of resistance here, and then we opened on it and then dropped, and then it was kind of some support here and here, and then we plummeted through it, and we retested yesterday into it and then gap down from it. So like if you were buying a put at the close yesterday because the 21 was there, you would have been able to exit that for some profit this morning. Maybe if it's a put that has a little bit longer expiration, maybe today's put. Actually, let's go look. Did this today's put work? Yeah, so you could have bought this 3100 put at the close for 8, 9, and flipped it out for 14 at open. That would have worked based on the 21. I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying, hey, look, there's something that worked really well. We broke out through the 21, came back into it. So yeah, the 21 has been working on the hourly really nice. I like how we went sideways here for quite a bit. Here is another nice triangle. Looked like it was breaking down. False breakdown, actually reversed. You know, this almost looks like a straight line. Like this lines up straight, and then this lines up straight with it. All the while we're going down. All of a sudden we get into it, and then we break out, retest into it, and go higher. So yeah, definitely be looking at other time frames. I like focusing on the 5 because it's just the 5 minute, because it's nice to look at how things move on the day, and it's also good to see how other time frames are moving as well. So places to buy off of this line. Now that I talked about this today, selling off of this line today, buying puts off this line. Now that I've said that, it'll probably actually get back above it tomorrow and keep going, and it won't have been a good place to be selling for tomorrow. It'll probably turn into a good place to be buying. But between the 2 days here, yeah, it just on the daily it looks like a much cleaner triangle. I mean, it's a 2-day triangle. You know, for just this day, it doesn't really, things don't line up. You can't really draw, you know, connecting this high to this high to this high doesn't work. Or I'm sorry, lows, or this high to this high to this high to this high. Like it doesn't work to connect all these. At least not in this time frame. If we go to like a 4-hour, might line up better. No, that's a really nice hammer on the 4-hour though. Really like that. That really looks like it's just stranded here in the middle. That's a really nice pennant. Retested, rolled over. Here's another really nice pennant. We could gap down and rally. I wonder if we gap down and don't touch this line, or touch it and then just run off of it. If we get down to 3,100 again, that'd be a nice place to buy. I still think that's a nice place to buy until it breaks and we stay below it. All right. So there you go. Hope this helps. This is Justin AMZN. Thanks.